She sits there, cool as a cucumber, filing her nails like she's waiting for a manicure appointment instead of a murder verdict. Pause, y'all, I'm not even kidding. This woman walked into that courtroom on November 17th, 2023, wearing a smirk that could cut glass. Harper Wellington, 28 years old, former beauty queen, Instagram influencer with 340,000 followers, and according to prosecutors, a cold-blooded killer who thought she was way too smart to get caught. But here's the thing. While she's sitting there looking like she doesn't have a care in the world, the prosecution has something she don't know about. Something that's about to wipe that smirk clean off her face. A video. 23 minutes of footage that she thought had been deleted. Footage that shows exactly what happened the night her boyfriend, Tyler Jackson, took his last breath. Now, before we get into all that crazy, let me tell you something. This case, it's got everything. Lies, betrayal, a cover-up so sloppy it'd be funny if it wasn't so tragic, and a defendant who genuinely, truly believed she could manipulate everyone in that courtroom the same way she manipulated her 340,000 Instagram followers. She thought she was untouchable. She thought she was clever. She thought she'd be home by dinner, probably posting a Justice Prevails selfie with some inspirational caption. She thought wrong. So let me paint you a picture of who Harper Wellington was before she became the most hated woman in Georgia. Born Harper Elizabeth Carmichael on June 3, 1995, in Savannah, Georgia, this gal seemed to have it all figured out from the jump. You know those kids who peak in high school? Yeah, Harper was peaking from like age 5. Her mama, Diane Carmichael, was one of those pageant moms we've all seen on TV. The kind who's living vicariously through their daughter, spending thousands of dollars on spray tans, custom dresses, and pageant coaches. And Harper, she ate it up, loved every second of the spotlight. By age 16, she'd won Miss Teen Georgia. By 21, she was first runner-up in Miss Georgia USA. The girl had the looks, the charm, the smile that could sell toothpaste or timeshares or whatever else you wanted to push. But here's where things get interesting, y'all. According to her former classmates, and we're talking dozens of interviews done by investigators and journalists, Harper wasn't exactly the sweet Southern belle she appeared to be. One former friend, Madison Torres, told investigators, and I quote, "Harper was nice to your face, but she'd stab you in the back the second you turned around. She couldn't stand when anyone else got attention. If you got a boyfriend she thought was cute, or wore a dress prettier than hers, or God forbid won a competition she wanted, you were done. She'd make your life hell." Another classmate who asked to remain anonymous said this. "There was this girl in our chemistry class, Emma something. Super sweet, kinda quiet. Harper decided she didn't like her for some reason. I think Emma's boyfriend had commented on Harper's Instagram or something stupid like that. Harper started this rumor that Emma was bulimic and stealing people's lunch money. Complete lies. But Harper was so popular, so charismatic that people believed her. Emma ended up transferring schools." Let that sink in for a second. This is high school Harper, the girl who'd ruined someone's reputation over an Instagram comment. Now imagine that personality with adult stakes, adult relationships, adult consequences. Harper enrolled at the University of Georgia in fall 2013, majoring in communications with a minor in marketing. Makes sense, right? Girl who loves attention studies how to get more attention. But college Harper, she was a whole different animal than high school Harper. See, in high school she was the queen bee, everybody knew her. Everybody wanted to be her or be with her. But college, that's a bigger pond, baby. And Harper Wellington did not know how to be a small fish. She rushed Alpha Delta Pi, one of the top sororities on campus. Got in, obviously, 'cause she had the looks and the legacy. Her mama had been an IP back in the day. But according to her sorority sisters, Harper was problematic. She'd do anything for attention, one former sister told reporters, speaking on condition of anonymity. And I mean anything. She dated 3 different guys from the same fraternity in one semester, caused massive drama, lied about one of them to make another one jealous. It was exhausting being around her. But here's what's really interesting, y'all. While Harper was busy creating chaos in her social life, she was also building her Instagram following. This was like 2014, 2015, the early days of influencer culture. And Harper, she understood it instinctively. I gotta give it to her, the girl knew her angles. She knew how to pose. She knew the hashtags, the trends, the engagement tactics. By her junior year, she had 50,000 followers. By graduation, she was pushing 200,000. She was getting free clothes from boutiques, free meals from restaurants, invites to exclusive parties. In her mind, she'd made it. She was important. She was special. She was also becoming increasingly convinced that normal rules didn't apply to her. Okay, here's something that didn't come out until after Harper's arrest, but it's crucial to understanding who we're dealing with. Fall semester, senior year. October 2016. Harper was dating a guy named Brett Henderson, star player on the UGA baseball team. By all accounts, Brett was head over heels for her, posting her on his Instagram, bringing her to team events, the whole 9 yards. Then Brett's phone went missing. Just vanished from his dorm room one day. Weird, right? But here's what's weirder. Later that same day, several of Brett's teammates got anonymous Instagram messages. Messages containing screenshots of private conversations between Brett and another girl. Nothing incriminating, just friendly chat, but the messages made it look like Brett was cheating. That other girl, she started getting harassed online. Hundreds of fake accounts leaving nasty comments, sending threats. It got so bad she had to make her Instagram private and file a report with campus police. Brett broke up with Harper shortly after, 'cause, get this, he figured out she'd taken his phone, screenshotted his messages, created the fake accounts, and orchestrated the entire harassment campaign against this innocent girl who was literally just his study partner. Y'all, let me say that again. Harper created fake accounts to harass an innocent person just because she was paranoid and jealous. Brett tried to report it to campus police, but here's the thing, he had no concrete proof. Harper was too smart for that. She'd done everything from library computers and fake email addresses. And when confronted, she played the victim so convincingly that Brett ended up looking like the bad guy for falsely accusing her. That should have been everyone's first clue that Harper Wellington was dangerous. But pretty privilege is real, y'all. And Harper knew exactly how to weaponize hers. Now let's talk about Tyler Jackson, the man whose life would be cut tragically short. The man who made the fatal mistake of falling in love with Harper Wellington. Tyler was 29 when he met Harper in June 2021. He owned a successful personal training business in Atlanta, had his own condo in Buckhead, drove a nice BMW. By all accounts, Tyler was a good dude. His friends described him as loyal, hardworking, generous to a fault. Tyler was the type of guy who'd give you the shirt off his back, his best friend, Darnell Cooper, later said in court testimony. He believed in second chances. He always saw the best in people. And I think that's why he couldn't see what Harper really was until it was too late. They met at a fitness expo in Atlanta. Harper was there doing Instagram content for some activewear brand. Tyler was there representing his training business. According to witnesses, Harper approached him, turned on the charm, had him laughing within 5 minutes. For the first few months, things seemed great. They were all over each other's Instagram. Number couple goals and number fitness couple and all that. Harper moved into Tyler's condo after just 2 months of dating. Fast, yeah, but when you know, right? Wrong. What Tyler didn't know was that Harper was already showing her true colors. She just hid them well when the camera was on. Tyler's sister, Janelle Jackson, later testified that Tyler had confided in her about problems in the relationship. He said Harper was jealous of his female clients, Janelle tearfully explained on the stand. She'd go through his phone constantly, accused him of cheating with no evidence. She'd blow up at him over the smallest things, then turn around and post these loving Instagram stories like everything was perfect. Red flag city, y'all. But Tyler, being the good guy he was, thought he could help her. Thought love could fix her insecurities. Thought if he just proved his loyalty enough times, she'd finally believe him. He was wrong about that too. By early 2023, Tyler was having serious doubts about the relationship. According to text messages recovered by investigators, he told multiple friends he was planning to end things with Harper. Here's a text he sent to Darnell on February 14, 2023, Valentine's Day. Ironically, "Man, I don't know how much longer I can do this. She went through my phone again last night. Made me delete 3 female clients' numbers because she said they were too pretty and obviously into me. I'm losing business because of her jealousy. I think I need to end this." Darnell's response: "Bro, you've been saying that for months. Just do it. She's toxic." Tyler: "I know, I'm gonna do it after her birthday. Don't wanna ruin that for her." Y'all, Tyler was too kind for his own good. Harper's birthday was August 3rd. Tyler would be dead by August 19th. Let me lay out what happened in those final 16 days, 'cause it's important to understand how we got to that courtroom moment where Harper's sitting there smirking like she's already won. August 3rd, 2023, Harper's 28th birthday. Tyler throws her a party at a rooftop bar in Atlanta. Spent over $3,000 on it. According to attendees, Harper posted Instagram stories all night but barely interacted with Tyler in person. One guest said she was weirdly cold to him despite the extravagant celebration. August 7th, Tyler tells his sister he's definitely ending the relationship. "I can't do this anymore, Nell," he said, using his nickname for Janelle. "She's making me miserable." August 10th, Harper discovers Tyler has been looking at apartments. She finds a saved Zillow listing on his iPad. According to neighbors, they heard screaming from the condo that night. Harper was heard shouting, "You think you can just leave me? After everything I've done for you?" What she'd done for him is unclear, considering Tyler paid all the bills, bought her gifts constantly, and supported her influencer lifestyle. But in Harper's mind, she was the prize, the catch, and Tyler was lucky to have her. The audacity. August 12th through August 18th, Tyler starts staying at Darnell's place some nights. He's working up the courage to officially end things. Meanwhile, Harper's Instagram shows no signs of trouble. She's posting gym selfies, sponsored content, mirror pics. Everything looks perfect. But behind the scenes, Harper Wellington was planning something. Something she thought was foolproof. Something that would make sure Tyler Jackson never left her. Because if she couldn't have him, nobody would. It's Saturday, August 19th, 2023. One of those perfect Atlanta summer days, clear sky, temperature in the low 80s. The kind of day where you'd plan a picnic or hit the lake or do literally anything except commit murder. But Harper Wellington, she had other plans. Tyler had been staying at Darnell's place for 3 nights straight. But that morning, he texted Harper saying he needed to come by the condo to pick up some client files and his laptop. He was gonna meet a potential new client that afternoon, a consultation that could lead to a $5,000 training package. Harper's response sent at 9:47 a.m. "Okay, babe, I'll be here. Maybe we can talk. I miss you, Red Heart." Tyler at 9:52 a.m. "Sure, I'll be there around 11. That was the last text message Tyler Jackson ever sent. According to evidence presented at trial, Harper spent the hour before Tyler arrived doing something very specific, very calculated. Y'all, she went full psycho mode. And I don't use that word lightly. Security footage from the condo building's package room shows Harper retrieving a package at 10:07 a.m. That package, investigators later determined, contained a bottle of Tyler's favorite wine that Harper had ordered days earlier. Glen Dronach 18-year Allardus, if you're curious. Runs about $170 a bottle. She'd been planning this for days. In the condo, police later found an orange prescription bottle in Harper's name. Zolpidem, that's Ambien, the sleep medication, prescribed to her by her doctor for insomnia. Bottle showed 30 pills dispensed on August 1st. When police counted them, only 14 left. 16 pills missing. Let me repeat that. 16 Ambien pills gone. Now, unless Harper had the world's worst insomnia and was popping pills like Tic Tacs for 18 days straight, something ain't adding up here. Forensic toxicology would later show that Tyler had approximately 120 milligrams of zolpidem in his system. That's equivalent to 12 standard Ambien pills. A dose that high, it's enough to render a grown man completely incapacitated, confused, unable to fight back. Harper Wellington wasn't planning to talk to Tyler. She was planning to poison him. Building security footage shows Tyler entering the lobby at 11:03 a.m. He's wearing a gray Nike t-shirt, black basketball shorts, white Air Force Ones. He's on his phone, later revealed to be texting his 2 p.m. client confirming their appointment. He takes the elevator to the 14th floor, gets off, walks down the hallway toward Unit 1407, the condo he shared with Harper. He uses his key to unlock the door, steps inside. The door closes behind him. That's the last time Tyler Jackson is seen alive on camera. Now, here's where we have to piece together what happened inside that condo. We've got evidence. We've got forensics. We've got Harper's own words when she eventually slipped up. And most importantly, we've got that video. The one Harper didn't know existed. But let's start with what investigators believe happened minute by minute. 11:03 a.m. Tyler enters the condo. According to the evidence presented at trial, Harper greets him warmly, hugs him. She's wearing a white sundress and has her hair down. Tyler had once mentioned that was his favorite look on her. She's playing the role, the loving girlfriend who misses him. "I'm so glad you're here," she said, according to her own later statements to police. "I made us lunch, thought we could eat and talk about things, figure out how to fix this." Tyler, being the good-hearted guy he was, probably felt guilty, probably thought, maybe I should give her a chance to talk. He'd already decided to end things, but he wanted to do it respectfully. Kindly, that kindness would cost him everything. 11:15 a.m., Tyler sits down at the dining table. Harper has set out lunch: fancy cheese, crackers, fruit, and 2 glasses of wine already poured. That $170 bottle of Glendronach. In her glass, just wine. In Tyler's glass, wine, and approximately 12 crushed Ambien tablets, dissolved and undetectable to the eye. Now, how do we know this? Well, investigators found the mortar and pestle Harper had used to crush the pills. Found it in the dishwasher, but here's the thing about forensic science. Y'all, you can run that dishwasher 50 times and traces of medication will still show up under the right tests. Amateur move, Harper. Real amateur. According to the timeline established by forensics, Tyler took his first sip of that poisoned wine around 11:20 a.m. Probably thought nothing of it. Probably thought, well, if we're gonna have a difficult conversation, a glass of wine might help. He had no idea what was coming. Ambien works fast, especially in doses that high. Within 15 to 20 minutes, Tyler would have started feeling dizzy, confused. His speech would have gotten slurred, his vision blurry. Harper's own statement to police, given during her first interview on August 20th. "Tyler and I were talking and drinking wine, and then he started acting really weird, like confused and sleepy. I thought maybe he was drunk, but we'd only had 1 glass." Okay, pause right there. 1 glass of wine does not make a 190-pound man with high alcohol tolerance act confused and sleepy to the point of incapacitation. Harper knew that. Everyone knew that. But she's sitting there in that police interview, playing dumb like she's shocked by what happened. The audacity of this woman, I swear. 11:40 a.m., based on the evidence and medical analysis, this is approximately when Tyler would have lost consciousness. The Ambien had fully kicked in. He was likely on the couch at this point. Crime scene photos show the couch cushions displaced and Tyler's phone on the floor next to it. And that's when Harper made her move. Okay, this is where things get really dark, y'all. And I want to be respectful to Tyler's memory and his family, but we need to talk about what Harper did. Because understanding the brutality of this crime is important to understanding just how dangerous she really is. The Fulton County Medical Examiner's autopsy report, conducted by Dr. Patricia Shaw, determined that Tyler Jackson died from asphyxiation due to manual strangulation, compounded by a lethal dose of zolpidem in his system. Let me translate that. Harper strangled him while he was drugged unconscious. The bruising pattern on Tyler's neck showed prolonged compression of the carotid arteries and trachea. Dr. Shaw testified that it would have taken anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes of continuous pressure to cause death. 3 to 5 minutes. That's not a crime of passion, y'all. That's not a momentary loss of control. That's sustained, deliberate, calculated murder. Think about that for a second. Harper Wellington, this 5'6", 120-pound woman, sat on top of her unconscious boyfriend and squeezed his neck for 3 to 5 minutes straight. His face would have turned red, then purple. His body would have convulsed. She would have felt him dying beneath her hands, and she didn't stop. Tyler Jackson was 29 years old. He had a business he loved, a family that adored him, friends who depended on him, clients whose lives he was changing, a future that should have been long and bright. And Harper Wellington took all of that away because her ego couldn't handle being left. The medical examiner estimated time of death at approximately 11:47 a.m., August 19, 2023. Now here's where Harper's plan kicks into high gear. See, killing Tyler was only step 1. Step 2 was making sure she got away with it. At 12:03 p.m., just 16 minutes after Tyler's estimated time of death, Harper called 911. 911, please. My boyfriend. Something's wrong with him. He's not breathing. Dispatcher. Ma'am, I need you to calm down. What's your address? Harper. 1407 Peachtree Tower, Buckhead. Please hurry, I think he's dead. Now listen to her voice in that call, the panic, the tears, the desperation. If you didn't know better, you'd think this was a genuine emergency. Harper missed her calling as an actress, I'll give her that. 12:11 p.m., EMTs arrive on scene. Building security footage shows them rushing into the lobby with equipment, taking the elevator up to the 14th floor. According to the EMT report filed by paramedic James Chen, upon arrival, we found a male subject, approximately 30 years old, unresponsive on the living room floor. Female at scene, later identified as Harper Wellington, was hysterical, stating she found him like this and doesn't know what happened. Subject showed no signs of life, obvious discoloration around neck area, pupils fixed and dilated. Body temperature suggested death had occurred 15 minutes, 30 minutes prior. Obvious discoloration around neck area. The EMTs saw the strangulation marks immediately. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a medical emergency. This was a crime scene. 12:14 p.m., Atlanta Police Department is called to the scene. This is now a suspicious death investigation. When officers Mitchell Rodriguez and Keisha Thompson from APD arrived on scene, they found Harper sitting on the floor of the hallway outside her condo, head in her hands, sobbing. And y'all, she put on a show. Officer Thompson's report states, Miss Wellington was extremely distraught. She stated that she and the victim, Tyler Jackson, had been having lunch when he suddenly became ill and collapsed. She claimed she performed CPR but couldn't revive him. She repeatedly said, I don't understand what happened. He was fine. We were just talking. But here's what's interesting. Officer Rodriguez, who had 6 years of experience and training in detecting deception, noted in his supplemental report, while Miss Wellington appeared upset, certain behaviors were inconsistent with genuine grief. She made frequent eye contact with officers, checking for reactions. Her crying escalated when attention was on her, but decreased when she thought we were focused elsewhere. Her hands were steady despite claims of panic. Recommend further investigation. Shout out to Officer Rodriguez for trusting his gut. That note in his report would become crucial later. By 12:30 p.m., the condo was officially a crime scene. Detectives from Atlanta PD's homicide unit were called in. The lead detective assigned to the case, Detective Sergeant Lisa Morno, a 15-year veteran with one of the highest solve rates in the department. And let me tell you, Harper Wellington picked the wrong detective to try and manipulate. Harper agreed to come to the station to give a formal statement. Big mistake on her part, but her ego wouldn't let her lawyer up. She thought she could talk her way out of this. Thought she could charm these detectives like she'd charmed everyone else in her life. She thought wrong. The interview started at 2:17 p.m. Present were Detective Morno and Detective James Park. Harper waived her Miranda rights after barely listening to them, another red flag for experienced investigators. Let me give you some highlights from this interview, 'cause it's wild how many lies she tried to spin in one sitting. Detective Morno, walk me through this morning, Harper, from the beginning. Harper, Tyler texted me saying he wanted to come by to get some things and maybe talk. I thought maybe we could work things out, you know. So I made lunch, opened a bottle of wine. We were sitting at the table just talking about our relationship, and then he started acting strange. Detective Park, strange how, Harper, like sleepy, confused. He got up to go to the bathroom and stumbled. I helped him to the couch and then he just stopped responding. I tried to wake him up, I did CPR, I called 911 immediately. Okay, so according to Harper, Tyler just randomly became unconscious for no reason. Just a mysterious medical event, nothing suspicious at all, except the strangulation marks, and the drugged wine, and the crushed pills in the mortar and pestle. Minor details, really. Detective Morno pressed harder. Had Tyler been drinking earlier in the day? Was he on any medications? Harper: no, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what he did before he came over. We weren't really together anymore. We were separated. Notice how she's already distancing herself. We weren't really together anymore. Setting up the narrative that his death doesn't benefit her 'cause they were already done. Smart, but not smart enough. Detective Park: the medical examiner noted significant bruising around Tyler's neck. Can you explain that? This is where Harper's mask started to slip, just for a second. Officer body camera footage shows her eyes darting to the side, her hand moving to her own neck unconsciously. Classic signs of deception. Harper: I don't know, maybe from when I was doing CPR. I was panicking, maybe I did it wrong. I don't know, I've never had to do CPR on someone I love before. Okay, Harper sweetie, that's not how CPR works. You don't do compressions on someone's neck. Come on now. The detectives let that sit for a moment, let her marinate in that terrible explanation. Then Detective Morno hit her with this. Harper, we're going to need to take your clothes and collect evidence from under your fingernails. Standard procedure in any unexplained death. You understand? Harper's response: oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I have nothing to hide. But she did have something to hide. A lot of somethings. When forensic technicians collected Harper's clothing and took samples from under her fingernails, they found exactly what they were looking for. On her white sundress, transfer fibers matching Tyler's gray Nike shirt. Found around the waist and lower chest area, consistent with her straddling him during the strangulation. Under her fingernails, epithelial cells containing Tyler's DNA. And here's the kicker: small traces of the prescription coating from zolpidem tablets. She'd crushed those pills but hadn't washed her hands thoroughly enough afterward. On the wine glass that Tyler had drunk from, his fingerprints, his lip marks, his DNA. And when they tested the residue in that glass, zolpidem, lots of it. On the bottle of Glendronach, only Harper's fingerprints, not Tyler's. Not on the bottle, not on the cork, only hers. That means Harper opened that bottle herself, poured both glasses herself. Tyler never touched the bottle. If they were having a casual lunch together like Harper claimed, why wouldn't Tyler pour his own glass? Why wouldn't his prints be on that bottle? I'll tell you why. Because Harper prepared that poisoned glass before Tyler ever sat down. She made sure he didn't touch the bottle because she couldn't risk him noticing anything off about his wine when she poured it. But here's the thing, y'all, all of this evidence, it's damning as hell. It paints a clear picture, but it's still circumstantial. A good defense attorney could potentially argue reasonable doubt, could say the Ambien in the glass was from Harper's prescription and somehow contaminated the glass, could say the DNA evidence just proves they were in close contact, which everyone already knew. Harper might have beaten this case with a good lawyer and a reasonable doubt defense. But Harper Wellington made one crucial mistake, one error that would destroy any possible defense she had. She forgot about the nanny cam. Okay, so here's something Harper didn't know. Something that's about to become the most important piece of evidence in this entire case. Tyler had installed a security camera in the living room, not because he was paranoid, not because he suspected Harper of anything violent, but because she'd been going through his stuff constantly, and he wanted proof if she destroyed any of his property when he officially ended the relationship. It was one of those inconspicuous wireless cameras that looked like a phone charger, cost about $40 on Amazon. You'd never notice it unless you knew it was there. And it was connected to Tyler's private cloud storage account, the one Harper didn't know about. Y'all, this is what I mean when I say criminals always trip themselves up. Always. You can be as smart as you think you are. You can plan everything down to the minute, but there's always something you don't account for. When detectives searched the condo on August 20th, the day after Tyler's death, they found the camera. Initially thought it was just a phone charger. But Detective Morneau, thorough as she is, noticed the tiny lens. Her notes from that day located small recording device disguised as USB charger, positioned on bookshelf with clear view of dining area and living room. Device appeared to be actively recording, seized as evidence. It took the tech team less than a day to access the camera's cloud storage. What they found: 23 minutes and 14 seconds of footage showing exactly what happened in that condo on August 19th. Detective Morneau's official report states, video evidence reviewed at 900 hours on August 21st, 2023. Footage shows clear premeditation and murder. Suspect made no attempts to render aid. Showed consciousness of guilt in cleanup efforts afterward. But let me tell you what that sterile police report doesn't convey. Let me tell you what was actually on that video. Because when this was played in court 4 months later, hardened prosecutors had tears in their eyes. Jury members looked away, and Harper Wellington's smirk finally disappeared. The video begins at 11:18 a.m. Tyler is sitting at the dining table, visible in the left portion of the frame. Harper is across from him. 2 wine glasses on the table. They appear to be talking, though there's no audio. 11:20 a.m. Tyler takes a drink from his wine glass. A long drink. Harper watches him. Her face, according to forensic psychologist Dr. Raymond Torres, who analyzed the video, shows anticipation, not concern. 11:24 a.m. Tyler stands up. His movements are already unsteady. He touches his forehead, appears to say something to Harper. She stands as well, moves toward him. 11:26 a.m. Tyler sits on the couch heavily, like his legs just gave out. Harper sits next to him, close, too close. 11:31 a.m. Tyler is now lying on the couch, clearly unconscious or semi-conscious. His body is slack, and Harper checks his pulse, lifts his eyelid to look at his eyes. She's checking to make sure he's incapacitated. Y'all, she's checking him like you'd check if your dinner is done cooking. Clinical, detached, making sure he's ready for what comes next. 11:34 a.m. Harper stands up, looks around the room, goes to the kitchen. She's off camera for about 90 seconds. 11:36 a.m. she returns with nothing visible, sits back down next to Tyler's unconscious body. 11:37 a.m. Harper climbs on top of Tyler, straddles him, places both hands around his neck. The video shows her squeezing for 4 minutes and 22 seconds. I'm not gonna describe the details of those 4 minutes. Tyler's family doesn't deserve to have that described publicly. But what I will say is this. The video shows that this was not a crime of passion. This was not a momentary loss of control. Harper Wellington strangled Tyler Jackson with sustained, deliberate force for over 4 minutes. And her face, according to every expert who analyzed this video, showed determination. Focus. Intent. Dr. Torres, the forensic psychologist, testified, "What we see in Miss Wellington's facial expression is not rage. It's not passion, it's problem-solving. She has decided Tyler Jackson is a problem, and she is solving that problem." Cold. Calculated. Murder. 11:41 a.m. Harper stops, gets off Tyler, checks his pulse again. This time satisfied, he's dead. What she does next shows you exactly who Harper Wellington really is. She goes to the kitchen, comes back with cleaning supplies, wipes down the wine glasses, the bottle, the table. Then, and I'm not making this up, she takes a selfie. A selfie. She's standing in her living room, her dead boyfriend on the couch behind her, and she takes a selfie. Investigators later recovered this photo from her cloud storage. It showed her face, neutral expression, hair perfect, white dress spotless. Why'd she take it? According to the forensic psychologist, it was likely to document her appearance and the state of the room before she called 911, making sure there was a record that she looked appropriately distraught and that the scene looked like an accident. This woman really thought of everything, huh? Except for that tiny little camera on the bookshelf. Once detectives had that video, they moved fast. August 22nd, 7:30 a.m., just 3 days after Tyler's death, Detective Morneau and 6 other officers arrived at the condo to arrest Harper Wellington. According to body camera footage, Harper answered the door in silk pajamas, hair in a messy bun, looking like she'd just woken up. She actually smiled when she saw Detective Morneau. "Oh, Detective, do you have news? Did you find out what happened to Tyler?" The act continued, y'all. Even with a dead boyfriend and 3 days of knowing the police were investigating, Harper kept playing the innocent, confused girlfriend. Detective Morneau's response: "Harper Wellington, you are under arrest for the murder of Tyler Jackson. You have the right to remain silent." According to the arrest report, Harper's demeanor changed instantly. The sweet, concerned girlfriend disappeared. What replaced it? Pure rage. "This is insane. I didn't do anything. Tyler was like a brother to me. I loved him. You can't just arrest people with no evidence." Detective Morneau, calm as can be: "We have plenty of evidence, Miss Wellington, including video evidence of you committing the murder." The body camera footage shows Harper's face go white, complete blood drain. For just a moment, the mask fell completely off and you could see the panic. Then she lawyered up. Immediately. Smart move, finally. About 3 days too late, but better late than never, I guess. Harper Wellington was booked into Fulton County Jail at 9:47 a.m. on August 22, 2023. Charges: felony murder, malice murder, aggravated assault, and tampering with evidence. No bond. She'd be staying in jail until trial. Over the next 3 months, investigators built one of the most solid cases the Fulton County District Attorney's Office had seen in years. Let me run through what they had, 'cause it's extensive. Physical evidence. The video. 23 minutes of Harper committing premeditated murder. Tyler's body, showing clear signs of strangulation. Toxicology, showing lethal amounts of zolpidem. The wine glass with drug residue. Harper's mortar and pestle with zolpidem. Traces Harper's clothing with transfer evidence. Fingernail scrapings, showing Tyler's DNA, and pill coating digital evidence. Text messages between Tyler and friends discussing leaving Harper's search history. And oh boy, was it damning. Harper's purchase of the specific wine 3 days before the murder. Harper's prescription for Ambien. The selfie taken after the murder. Harper's Instagram posts, showing fake happy relationship. Tyler's calendar, showing the 2 p.m. client meeting he never made it to. Now, about that search history. Let's talk about what investigators found on Harper's phone and laptop. August 12th, 1 week before the murder. How much Ambien to make someone unconscious? Can Ambien be dissolved in alcohol? How long does Ambien stay in system? August 15th, 4 days before. Do security cameras record to cloud automatically? How to find hidden cameras in home? Strangulation versus suffocation autopsy, y'all. She literally Googled strangulation versus suffocation autopsy before Tyler died. What is it with criminals and Google searches? Do they not know the internet is forever? That police can and will check your search history. This ain't the 90s, Harper. August 18th, 1 day before. How to act grieving, innocent girlfriend behavior. What to say to police if boyfriend dies. She Googled how to act grieving. Let that sink in. Harper Wellington spent the evening before she murdered Tyler Googling how to convincingly act sad about his death. As the trial date approached, set for December 4th, 2023, the prosecution lined up witness after witness, and every single one of them painted Harper Wellington as manipulative, jealous, and capable of violence. Let me tell you about some of these witnesses, 'cause they really show the pattern of who Harper was. Darnell Cooper, Tyler's best friend, testified about Tyler's plans to leave Harper, presented text messages showing Tyler was afraid of how Harper would react. One text from July 2023, "Man, I think Harper might do something crazy when I end this. She's not stable," Tyler knew. On some level, he knew Harper was dangerous. And he was right. Janelle Jackson, Tyler's sister, broke down on the stand describing her last conversation with Tyler, testified about Harper's controlling behavior. "My brother was scared of his own girlfriend," she said through tears. "That's not normal. That's not love." Dr. Catherine Wright, Harper's prescribing physician, confirmed she'd prescribed Harper 30 Ambien pills on August 1st for mild insomnia, testified that a normal dose is 510 mg. And 16 pills would be 80-160 mg, a potentially lethal amount for someone Tyler's size, especially combined with alcohol. Brett Henderson, Harper's ex from college, testified about the phone theft incident and fake Instagram harassment. "She was obsessed with control," he testified. "If she thought she was losing control of you, she'd destroy you. I'm lucky I figured it out when I did." The prosecution was establishing a pattern, y'all. This wasn't a one-time thing. Harper had been showing violent, manipulative behavior for years. Tyler just happened to be the unlucky victim when the stakes were highest. Dr. Raymond Torres, forensic psychologist, analyzed the video footage frame by frame, testified about Harper's body language, facial expressions, and post-murder behavior showing narcissistic personality disorder with sociopathic traits. "In my professional opinion," Dr. Torres stated, "Miss Wellington exhibits classic signs of pathological narcissism. She believes she is superior to others and entitled to their devotion. When Tyler Jackson attempted to leave her, it wasn't just rejection. It was, in her mind, an insult to her superiority. His death was her way of regaining control." Chilling. Harper's defense attorney, Patrick Daniels, had his work cut out for him. Like, imagine being handed a case where there's video of your client committing murder, digital evidence of premeditation, physical evidence everywhere, and dozens of witnesses to her violent patterns. I don't envy that man's job. Daniels tried every legal maneuver in the book. Motion to suppress the video evidence, denied camera was in Tyler's own home. Motion to suppress search history, denied phone was seized legally. Motion to exclude character witnesses, partially denied. Motion for change of venue, denied. Motion to suppress autopsy photos, partially granted, most graphic ones excluded. When all those motions failed, Daniels had to come up with an actual defense strategy. And y'all, it was weak, real weak. The defense theory: Harper and Tyler got into an argument. Tyler had been drinking before he arrived. False. Toxicology showed no alcohol except what was in the wine. He became aggressive. No evidence of this whatsoever. Harper had taken Ambien earlier for sleep. Doesn't explain why it was in Tyler's system. In the ensuing struggle, Harper acted in self-defense when Tyler attacked her, and the strangulation was accidental while she was trying to restrain him. Okay, so let me get this straight. Tyler, who weighed 190 pounds and was a personal trainer, somehow became incapacitated and unable to fight back during this aggressive attack he was supposedly mounting. And Harper, in self-defense, just happened to strangle him for over 4 minutes while he was unconscious, and then cleaned up evidence and took a selfie. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense, of course, because it's nonsense. But it's all Daniels had to work with. Trial was set to begin December 4th, 2023. 4 months after Tyler Jackson took his last breath. 4 months of Harper sitting in jail, probably planning her courtroom performance. 4 months of believing she could still win this. Monday morning, December 4th, 2023. Fulton County Superior Court. Judge Harold Martinez presiding. The case of the state of Georgia v. Harper Elizabeth Wellington was about to begin. This case had blown up, y'all. National media was covering it. Court TV was broadcasting live. True crime TikTok was all over it. Everyone wanted to see if Harper Wellington would actually get convicted, or if she'd somehow charm her way out of this. Jury selection had taken 3 days. They needed 12 jurors and 4 alternates who hadn't been tainted by media coverage and could be impartial. Eventually, they seated 7 women and 5 men, ranging in age from 26 to 62. At 9 a.m., Judge Martinez called the court to order, and that's when Harper made her entrance. Now, I need you to understand something. The Harper Wellington who walked into that courtroom was not the Instagram influencer with perfect hair and designer dresses. Oh no, this was calculated transformation number. What are we at now? 50. Harper wore a navy blue cardigan over a white collared shirt. Minimal makeup, just enough to look put together but not glamorous. Hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Small silver cross necklace. Glasses which her friends later confirmed she never normally wore. She looked like a church volunteer, a kindergarten teacher, somebody's sweet niece. Innocent, harmless, demure. It was all an act, but here's what was interesting. Despite the calculated appearance, Harper had this air of confidence about her. She wasn't slumped over looking defeated. She sat up straight, made eye contact with the jury when they filed in, even offered a small, sad smile. Body language experts who analyzed the footage noted that Harper exhibited none of the typical anxiety of a defendant facing life in prison. She was comfortable, confident, too confident. The prosecution's opening statement was delivered by Assistant District Attorney Maria Vasquez, a prosecutor known for her methodical approach and powerful delivery. And y'all, she did not hold back. Vasquez's opening statement lasted 43 minutes. Let me give you some highlights. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a case about control, about narcissism, about a woman who believed she was entitled to a man's life, and when he dared to leave her, she took that life without hesitation or remorse. The evidence you will see over the course of this trial will show you, beyond any reasonable doubt, that Harper Wellington planned Tyler Jackson's murder. She researched how to do it. She purchased the materials to do it. She executed her plan with cold precision, and then she tried to cover it up. You will see a video that shows exactly what happened in that apartment on August 19th. A video that shows Harper Wellington checking Tyler's unconscious body, climbing on top of him, and strangling him to death while he was drugged and unable to defend himself. You will see her search history, how much Ambien to make someone unconscious, how to act grieving, what to say to police if boyfriend dies. These searches weren't made after Tyler died. They were made before, because this was planned, premeditated, cold-blooded murder. Vasquez turned and pointed directly at Harper. That woman sitting right there took a good man's life because her ego couldn't handle rejection, and she thinks she's smart enough to get away with it. Give Tyler Jackson the justice he deserves, thank you. The prosecution had laid it all out, clear, direct, devastating, and Harper, she just sat there, face neutral, occasionally writing notes like this was a college lecture. Patrick Daniels' opening statement was, well, it was something. You could tell he knew he was fighting a losing battle, but he had to give it his best shot. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution wants you to believe that my client is a monster. A cold-blooded killer who planned a murder with precision and executed it without remorse. But what you're going to see as this trial unfolds is a much more complicated story. A story of a troubled relationship, a tragic accident, and a young woman who made mistakes in a moment of absolute panic. Okay, so we're going with tragic accident. Sure, Jan. Even from the jury's body language, you could tell they weren't buying what Daniels was selling. Arms crossed, heads tilted. That universal, yeah, okay expression we all make when someone's clearly lying. The prosecution spent the first week establishing the foundation of their case, and it was methodical, thorough, devastating. Day 1 scene and evidence. Crime scene investigators testified about what they found in the condo. Photos of Tyler's body were shown. The courtroom had to take a break because several jury members were visibly upset. The layout, the evidence markers, the wine glasses, everything. Day 2, autopsy and toxicology. Dr. Patricia Shaw, the medical examiner, took the stand. Her testimony was clinical but damning. She explained how strangulation works, how long it takes, what the bruising patterns meant. These injuries are not consistent with a brief struggle or accidental death, Dr. Shaw testified. The sustained pressure required to cause this pattern of bruising would take several minutes of continuous force. The victim would have been struggling, convulsing. This is not something that happens accidentally. Then came the toxicology. Dr. Shaw explained that Tyler had approximately 120 milligrams of zolpidem in his system. That's equivalent to 12 standard Ambien pills. At that concentration, Mr. Jackson would have been completely unconscious, unable to fight back, unable to defend himself. Daniels tried to poke holes in the autopsy findings on cross-examination. Isn't it possible, Dr. Shaw, that Mr. Jackson took these pills himself? Perhaps in a suicide attempt, Dr. Shaw, without missing a beat. The pills were dissolved in wine, not taken orally as whole pills. The gastric contents showed no pill fragments. Additionally, there's no scenario where someone attempting suicide would then be strangled to death. That's not how suicide works, counselor. Oof, Dr. Shaw was not playing games. Day 3, digital evidence. This is when things got really bad for Harper. Digital forensics expert Miguel Santos testified about Harper's search history, her phone records, her social media activity. Every single incriminating Google search was shown to the jury. The dates were highlighted. The progression from researching to planning to executing was crystal clear. The jury saw Harper Wellington Googling murder methods a week before she killed Tyler Jackson. Santos also testified about the selfie. The one Harper took right after killing Tyler. It was shown on the courtroom screens, Harper's face, neutral and calm, the edge of the couch visible in the background where Tyler's body lay. 2 jurors visibly recoiled. One put her hand over her mouth. The jury foreman shook his head slowly. Harper's confidence started to crack just a little bit. Day 4, Thursday, December 8th. The day the video would be shown to the jury. The courtroom was packed, standing room only. Media representatives from every major outlet. Tyler's family in the front row holding hands. Harper at the defense table, spine straight, face carefully neutral. Judge Martinez addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to see is disturbing. Graphic. If at any point you need a break, please indicate to the bailiff. But I remind you of your duty to review all evidence, no matter how difficult. Ada Vasquez approached the video display. Your Honor, the state would like to present Exhibit 47 video footage from August 19, 2023, captured by a security device in the residence of Tyler Jackson. Proceed, Judge Martinez said quietly. The video began playing. For 23 minutes and 14 seconds, that courtroom was silent except for occasional gasps and muffled sobs. The jury watched as Harper Wellington methodically poisoned, waited, and then murdered Tyler Jackson. I'm not gonna describe every moment again. We already covered what was on that video. But what I will tell you about is the reactions. Tyler's sister Janelle had to leave the courtroom. His mother, sitting in the front row, wept openly. Several jury members had tears streaming down their faces. And Harper, she watched the video of herself committing murder with no expression at all. No tears, no remorse, no reaction. She looked bored. Several jury members noticed this. You could see them watching the video, then glancing at Harper, then looking at each other with expressions that clearly said, "Are you seeing this?" That lack of reaction. It sealed her fate, even if the jury had somehow had reasonable doubt before, which they didn't. Watching Harper sit there emotionless while viewing herself murder someone destroyed any possibility of sympathy. When the video ended, the courtroom remained silent for several long moments. Judge Martinez called a 30-minute recess. Everyone needed to process what they'd just witnessed. Harper walked out of that courtroom like she was heading to lunch. No big deal, just another day. Unbelievable. The second week of trial focused on witness testimonies, and y'all, these were gut-wrenching. Darnell Cooper, Tyler's best friend. Darnell took the stand on Monday of week 2. A big guy, tattooed arms, but when he started talking about Tyler, his voice cracked. "Tyler was my brother," Darnell testified. "We grew up together, built businesses together. He was the best man at my wedding. And he was telling me for months that he needed to get away from Harper, but he was too kind to just cut her off. He kept saying, 'She needs help, I can't just abandon her.'" Vasquez asked. "Did Tyler ever express fear of Harper?" Darnell nodded. "In July, maybe 3 weeks before. Before it happened, Tyler told me he was scared of how Harper would react when he finally ended things. He said, 'I think she might do something crazy.' I told him he was overthinking it. I told him." His voice broke. "I told him she was all talk, just manipulative but not dangerous." Darnell broke down on the stand. "I was wrong. I should have taken him seriously. I should have helped him get out sooner." Janelle Jackson, Tyler's sister. Janelle's testimony was even more emotional. She talked about growing up with Tyler, about what a good person he was, about his dreams for his business. "My brother was the most loving person I knew," she said, tears streaming down her face. "He'd give anyone a second chance, third chance, fourth chance. That's why he stayed with Harper so long. He thought he could help her, fix her somehow. But you can't fix evil." She turned and looked directly at Harper. "You took my brother from us, from his mother, his father, his nieces and nephews who loved him. You took him because you couldn't control him anymore. And you don't even care." Harper stared back, expression blank. Janelle's voice rose. "Look at her, she doesn't even care. She's sitting there like this is boring to her." Judge Martinez had to calm the courtroom. But Janelle had said what everyone was thinking. On Thursday of week 2, the defense began presenting their case. And y'all, it was rough. Patrick Daniels called 3 witnesses total. 3. And not one of them helped Harper's case even a little bit. The biggest question going into week 3 was whether Harper Wellington would testify in her own defense. Her attorney advised against it. Her family advised against it. Every legal expert on TV said she absolutely should not take the stand. But Harper's ego had other plans. On Monday, December 18th, Patrick Daniels stood and said the words that made every prosecutor in that room smile. "Your Honor, the defense calls Harper Wellington to the stand. The woman who murdered her boyfriend on camera, after Googling how to do it, after leaving a digital trail a mile long, thought she was clever enough to talk her way out of this. Oh, this was gonna be good." Harper Wellington raised her right hand and swore to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Spoiler alert, she did not. For the first hour, Patrick Daniels led her through her version of events. The direct examination was clearly rehearsed. Harper had her talking points down. "Tyler and I loved each other, but we had a toxic relationship. We both said things we didn't mean, did things we didn't mean. On August 19th, I wanted to fix things. I made lunch. I wanted us to talk like adults, but Tyler had been drinking before he arrived, already lying. Toxicology proved Tyler had not been drinking before he arrived, and he got angry when I asked about some text from another woman. He grabbed my wrist, pushed me. I was scared. She was playing the victim card. Classic narcissist move. Things escalated. There was a struggle. I don't remember everything clearly. It happened so fast. I was just trying to defend myself. And then he wasn't breathing. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. The jury wasn't buying it, not even a little bit. Then came the cross-examination. And y'all, Ada Maria Vasquez destroyed her. Vasquez started slow, methodical, building her trap. Miss Wellington, you testified that you don't remember the struggle clearly. Is that correct? Harper nodded. It was very traumatic. Things are fuzzy. But you remember Tyler being aggressive. Grabbing your wrist. Yes. You remember being scared. Yes. Vasquez's voice sharpened. But you don't remember strangling him for 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Harper hesitated. It wasn't like that. It was self-defense. Self-defense against an unconscious man. He wasn't unconscious. He was fighting me. Vasquez walked to the video monitor. Your Honor, may I play Exhibit 47 again, specifically timestamp 11:34 to 11:41. The video played. Tyler clearly unconscious. Harper checking his pulse, his eyes climbing on top of him. Miss Wellington, does that look like a man who's fighting you? Harper had no answer. But Vasquez wasn't done, not even close. Let's talk about your Google searches, Miss Wellington. On August 12th, you searched, how much Ambien to make someone unconscious? Can you explain that, Harper? I was curious about my own medication. I wanted to make sure I was taking the right dose. Oh, come on, Vasquez. Your prescription bottle says clearly on the label 10 mg, take one at bedtime. Why would you need to Google how much it takes to make someone unconscious? Harper. I was worried about side effects. Then why not search Ambien side effects? Why specifically how much to make someone unconscious? No answer. Vasquez continued. August 15th. You searched strangulation versus suffocation autopsy. Why? Harper scrambling. I think I was watching a crime show. I don't remember. You don't remember. This was 4 days before Tyler died. You don't remember why you were researching strangulation. I watch a lot of true crime. I search things all the time. Vasquez pulled out phone records. Actually, Miss Wellington, your search history shows you rarely search anything crime-related. In fact, in the 6 months before August 2023, you had 0 searches related to crime or violence. Then suddenly, in the week before Tyler's death, you have multiple searches about drugging someone, strangulation, and how to act grieving. Quite a coincidence. Harper's voice rose. I didn't plan this. It was an accident. An accident you researched extensively beforehand. No, I didn't. An accident where you crushed up your Ambien pills and dissolved them in wine. That's not. An accident where you checked Tyler's pulse to make sure he was unconscious before you climbed on top of him. You're twisting everything. Vasquez's voice dropped, quiet but devastating. Miss Wellington, after Tyler was dead, you took a selfie. Why would someone who just accidentally killed their boyfriend in self-defense take a selfie? Complete silence in the courtroom. Harper started crying, but they weren't real tears. Any fool could see that. She was performing, trying to win sympathy. I was in shock. I wasn't thinking clearly, Vasquez. You were thinking clearly enough to wipe down the wine glasses, to clean the bottle, to hide the mortar and pestle in the dishwasher. Those don't sound like the actions of someone in shock. Those sound like the actions of someone trying to cover up a murder. It was over. Harper Wellington had just destroyed any shred of credibility she might have had left. The prosecution rested. The defense rested. All that was left were closing arguments. Thursday, December 20th, 5 days before Christmas. The courtroom was packed to capacity for closing arguments. This was it. The final chance for both sides to make their case. Patrick Daniels went first. His closing argument lasted 37 minutes and essentially repeated the same points he'd been making all trial. Toxic relationship, accident, self-defense, panic. Nobody was convinced. Then it was Maria Vasquez's turn. and she delivered one of the most powerful closing arguments that courthouse had heard in years. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, over the past 3 weeks, you've heard testimony from dozens of witnesses. You've seen hundreds of pieces of evidence. But really, this case comes down to one simple fact. Harper Wellington planned to kill Tyler Jackson, and then she did it. She Googled how to do it. She bought the materials. She crushed the pills. She poisoned the wine. She waited for Tyler to become unconscious. She checked his pulse. She climbed on top of him. She strangled him for over 4 minutes. And then she cleaned up the evidence and called 911, pretending to be the devastated girlfriend. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't self-defense. This was cold, calculated, premeditated murder. Vasquez walked over to where Tyler's family sat. Tyler Jackson was 29 years old. He had his whole life ahead of him. He was a good son, a loving brother, a loyal friend, a mentor to his clients. He was kind, generous, trusting. And Harper Wellington took all of that away because her ego couldn't handle being left. Because in her narcissistic world, Tyler Jackson didn't have the right to leave her, didn't have the right to choose his own happiness over her control. Vasquez turned and pointed at Harper. Look at her. Throughout this entire trial, have you seen remorse, grief, genuine emotion? No, what you've seen is performance, calculation, someone who's more concerned with how she appears than with the fact that she took a human life. Several jury members looked at Harper. Her face remained blank, neutral, which was exactly Vasquez's point. The defense wants you to believe that this was a terrible accident, that Harper was defending herself, but the evidence doesn't support that. Tyler Jackson was unconscious when he was strangled. He was drugged. He couldn't fight back. He couldn't defend himself. He couldn't even beg for his life. Harper Wellington made sure of that. Tyler Jackson deserved to live. He deserved to follow his dreams, build his business, fall in love with someone who truly loved him back, have a family, grow old. Harper Wellington stole all of that from him, and now it's your job to hold her accountable. The state of Georgia asks you to find Harper Wellington guilty of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, and tampering with evidence. Not because we want vengeance, but because that's what the evidence proves beyond any reasonable doubt. Give Tyler Jackson the justice he deserves. Thank you. Vasquez sat down. The courtroom was silent for a long moment. Judge Martinez addressed the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will now begin deliberations. Please follow the instructions I've provided and consider only the evidence presented in this courtroom. At 3:47 p.m. on December 20th, 2023, the jury retired to deliberate Harper Wellington's fate. The waiting began. And y'all, in high-profile cases like this, the wait for a verdict is excruciating. Tyler's family stayed at the courthouse. His mother, Regina Jackson, told reporters, "We just want justice for our boy. That's all. We want the jury to see what we see. That woman is evil, and she needs to pay for what she did." Meanwhile, legal experts on every news channel were debating how long deliberations might take. Some said the overwhelming evidence meant a quick verdict. Others argued the jury would take their time to review everything thoroughly. At 6 p.m., the jury sent a note asking to review the video evidence again. Not a great sign for Harper. At 8:15 p.m., the jury requested a readback of the medical examiner's testimony about the strangulation. Even worse sign for Harper. Court was adjourned for the night at 9 p.m. The jury would resume deliberations Friday morning. Friday, December 21st, 10:23 a.m., the jury sent a note to the judge. "We have reached a verdict. Less than 24 hours of deliberation total. That's fast, y'all. And in a case like this, fast usually means guilty." Word spread quickly. Within 15 minutes, the courtroom was packed. Media, Tyler's family, curious public observers who'd been following the case. And Harper Wellington. Here's the moment we've been waiting for, the moment from the title of this video. Harper walked into that courtroom and y'all, she was smirking, not nervous, not scared, not resigned. She had this little half smile on her face, like she knew something everyone else didn't, like she thought this was about to go her way. Body language experts who analyzed the footage later said Harper exhibited classic narcissistic overconfidence. She genuinely believed she'd charmed the jury, that her testimony had worked, that she was about to walk out of that courthouse a free woman. She was very, very wrong. At 10:47 a.m., Judge Martinez took the bench. "Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I understand you've reached a verdict." The jury foreman, a 54-year-old accountant named Richard Chen, stood. "We have, Your Honor. Please hand the verdict forms to the bailiff." Judge Martinez reviewed the forms. His face remained neutral, professional. He handed them to the court clerk. "The defendant will please rise." Harper stood, still confident, still smirking slightly. She even straightened her posture like she was about to accept an award. Judge Martinez looked at the clerk. "Please read the verdict." The clerk began. "In the case of the State of Georgia versus Harper Elizabeth Wellington, case number 23-CR-4891, we the jury find as follows. On the count of malice murder, we find the defendant guilty." The courtroom erupted. Tyler's mother collapsed into her daughter's arms, sobbing. Regina was crying. People in the gallery were hugging each other. And Harper, that smirk vanished like someone had slapped it off her face. Her mouth fell open. Her eyes went wide. She looked at her attorney, then at the jury, then back at the judge, like she couldn't comprehend what had just happened. Reality had just hit Harper Wellington like a freight train. But the clerk wasn't done. On the count of felony murder, guilty. On the count of aggravated assault, guilty. On the count of tampering with evidence, guilty. Guilty on all counts. Harper started shaking her head. "No, no, that's not. No," her voice was audible in the quiet courtroom. "This is wrong. This isn't fair. I didn't." Her attorney put his hand on her arm, trying to quiet her. But Harper's narcissistic brain couldn't process that she'd lost, that she hadn't charmed her way out, that 12 people had seen through her lies. This is what narcissists do, y'all. When they lose, when reality doesn't match their delusion, they genuinely cannot comprehend it. Judge Martinez thanked the jury for their service and dismissed them. Then he set a sentencing date for January 15, 2024. As Harper was being led out of the courtroom, she turned and looked at Tyler's family. According to witnesses, she actually said, "I'm sorry this happened. Not I'm sorry I killed him. Not I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry this happened," as if Tyler's death was some natural disaster, some unfortunate accident that just occurred with no one responsible. Even in defeat, Harper Wellington couldn't admit what she really was. Outside the courthouse, Tyler's family held a brief press conference. Regina Jackson, Tyler's mother, spoke through tears. "Today we got justice for my baby, but justice doesn't bring him back. Tyler should be here. He should be 31 years old, running his successful training business, spending time with his family, maybe married with kids of his own. Harper Wellington stole that from us, and she'll never be able to give it back." Janelle Jackson added, "To anyone in a controlling, manipulative relationship, please get out. Ask for help. Don't wait. Tyler waited too long, and it cost him everything. If my brother's death can save even one person from the same fate, then maybe some good can come from this tragedy." Ada Maria Vasquez addressed the media as well. "This verdict sends a clear message. No amount of charm, no amount of social media followers, no amount of pretty privilege will protect you from the consequences of murder." The jury saw through Harper Wellington's lies and performance, and they delivered the right verdict. The case had struck a chord nationwide. Y'all. Thousands of social media comments poured in. People sharing their own stories of narcissistic partners, experts discussing the warning signs, true crime channels covering every angle. The consensus: Harper Wellington was exactly what she appeared to be, a narcissistic killer who thought she was untouchable, until she wasn't. 6 weeks after the verdict, Harper Wellington returned to court for sentencing. In Georgia, malice murder carries a mandatory sentence of life in prison. The only question was whether Harper would be eligible for parole. The judge had three options: life without the possibility of parole, life with the possibility of parole after 30 years, life with the possibility of parole after 25 years, minimum in Georgia. Before sentencing, the court heard victim impact statements. And y'all, they were absolutely heartbreaking. Regina Jackson: "My son was my heart. He was kind and loving and good. Harper took him from me in the cruelest way possible. She drugged him so he couldn't fight back. She strangled him while he was helpless, and then she tried to lie about it. She's never shown 1 ounce of remorse. Your Honor, please make sure she never gets the chance to hurt anyone else ever again." Janelle Jackson: "I'll never be able to call my brother for advice. He'll never walk me down the aisle at my wedding. His future children will never exist. All because one selfish, evil woman couldn't handle rejection. She deserves to spend the rest of her life in prison thinking about what she did." Darnell Cooper: "Tyler was my best friend for 22 years. I knew him better than anyone. And I'm telling you, he would still be alive if Harper had just let him go. But she couldn't. Her ego wouldn't allow it. She'd rather kill him than let him be happy without her. That's not love. That's evil." Multiple other friends and family members spoke. Every single one asked for the maximum sentence. Then Judge Martinez asked if Harper wanted to make a statement before sentencing. Her attorney advised against it. But once again, Harper's ego overruled good advice. Harper stood up. Y'all, what came out of Harper Wellington's mouth in that sentencing hearing was one of the most tone-deaf, self-centered statements I've ever heard. "Your Honor, I want to say that I never meant for any of this to happen. Tyler and I loved each other. We had our problems like any couple, but I never wanted him to die. What happened that day was a tragic accident, a terrible mistake that I'll have to live with forever." Still calling it an accident, after a jury convicted her of premeditated murder. "I know Tyler's family is grieving, and I am too. I miss him every day. I think about all the plans we had, the future we could have had together if things had been different." She was talking about Tyler like he died in a car crash, not like SHE murdered him. I hope that someday, people will be able to see past the media narrative and understand that I'm not a monster. I'm a human being who made a terrible mistake in a moment of fear and panic. I ask the court for mercy and the chance to eventually prove that I can be a positive member of society again. She sat down. Judge Martinez looked at her for a long moment. Then he spoke. "Miss Wellington, in my 23 years on the bench, I have seen many defendants stand where you're standing. I've seen remorse. I've seen genuine regret. I've seen people taking responsibility for their actions. I have seen none of that from you. You have shown, throughout this trial and today, a stunning lack of empathy. You planned Tyler Jackson's murder with precision. You executed that plan with cold efficiency. You attempted to cover it up with calculated lies. And even now, after being convicted by a jury of your peers, you refuse to acknowledge the truth of what you did. You poisoned an unconscious man and strangled him to death because your ego couldn't handle rejection. That is not an accident. That is not self-defense. That is murder, plain and simple." Judge Martinez was not holding back. "The evidence showed that you are a danger to society. Your complete lack of remorse indicates you have not learned from this experience and likely would reoffend if given the opportunity. Therefore, I hereby sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole." Harper's face crumpled. She started crying, real tears this time, not the performance tears from her testimony. The reality had finally sunk in. She would die in prison. Judge Martinez continued. "Additionally, you are sentenced to a consecutive 30 years for aggravated assault and 10 years for tampering with evidence. These sentences will run consecutive to the life sentence, though given the life without parole, they are largely symbolic." Harper had to be supported by her attorney. Her legs had given out. This court is adjourned. So where is Harper Wellington today? As of December 2024, she's incarcerated at Pulaski State Prison in Hawkinsville, Georgia. It's a medium security facility that houses female inmates serving long sentences. According to public records, Harper is inmate number 1,847,392. She works in the prison library and has had 2 disciplinary infractions, both for disrespectful behavior toward staff. Shocking absolutely no one. She hasn't learned to play well with others. Her attorneys filed an appeal in March 2024, arguing that the video evidence should have been suppressed and that the jury was prejudiced by media coverage. That appeal was denied in September 2024. A second appeal is pending, but legal experts say it has virtually no chance of success. The evidence was overwhelming, the trial was fair, and the verdict was supported by the facts. Harper Wellington will spend the rest of her life behind bars. She'll never post another Instagram selfie, never charm another victim, never hurt anyone again. Tyler Jackson should be alive today. He should be 31 years old, running his successful training business, spending time with his family, maybe married with kids of his own. But he's not, because he fell in love with the wrong person. So what can we learn from this tragedy? First, trust your gut. Tyler's friends said he'd expressed fear of Harper. If someone in your life is making you afraid, that's not love. Get out. Ask for help. Second, recognize the red flags. Harper showed signs of narcissistic, controlling behavior from day one. The jealousy, the manipulation, the lying, these don't get better. They escalate. Third, don't stay in a relationship out of pity or guilt. Tyler stayed longer than he should have because he felt bad for Harper, thought he could help her. You cannot fix a person who doesn't want to be fixed. You cannot love someone into being a better person. Fourth, document everything. If you're in a toxic relationship, document the behavior. Tell friends and family. Create a paper trail. Tyler had texts showing Harper's behavior, which became crucial evidence. Fifth, for the love of God, don't post everything on social media. The facade of perfection that people present online is often hiding serious problems. Don't compare your real life to someone else's highlight reel. If you or someone you know is in a controlling or abusive relationship, please reach out for help. National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-9723, available 24/7. Free and confidential. Your life is worth more than staying in a dangerous situation. So that's the story of Harper Wellington, the woman who walked into a courtroom smirking, convinced she'd beaten a murder charge, only to have that smirk wiped off her face when reality came crashing down. This case shows us that narcissism isn't just an annoying personality trait. In its most extreme form, it's deadly. When someone genuinely believes they're superior to everyone else, that rules don't apply to them, that they're entitled to control others, that's when people get hurt. Harper Wellington believed she could murder someone and get away with it because she'd always charmed her way out of consequences before. Beauty privilege had protected her. Social media followers had validated her, and she thought that would continue. But justice doesn't care about your Instagram following. The truth doesn't care about your pageant crowns. And juries don't care about your performance when there's video evidence of you committing murder. Remember Tyler Jackson. Remember that behind every true crime case is a real person whose life was cut short. A family that will never be whole again. Dreams that will never be realized. Harper Wellington thought she was smart enough to get away with murder. She walked into that courtroom with a smirk, thinking she was going home. Then the video played, and justice was served.